Okay, welcome everybody to today's class. I hope you can see the board. I'm never completely sure, so if there's anything wrong with the board, if there's any light that you're not happy with, do tell me and I'll try and fix it. We've got a bit of shadow around there. We've got this one coming on. Is that better? Okay, anyway, hi guys. Today we're looking at advanced idioms and phrasal verbs. Now I've taken all of this vocabulary from a book called Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs. It's by Oxford University Press. It's a good book. I think it's worth buying. But of course, let me just show you. I do think that there's an even better book, and it's my book. It's for phrasal verbs, and so please do buy my book if you want a book that I've written on phrasal verbs. And that accompanies all the other phrasal verb videos that I've made. But today we're doing idioms because chapter 1 of this book, Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs, is about idioms and not about phrasal verbs. But I agree that there is a lot of crossover, a lot of overlap between idioms and phrasal verbs. So just want to go through as many as possible fairly quickly. But if you would like to do exercises with these idioms, then you'll need to buy the book Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs, and that's Oxford University Press. If you want more phrasal verbs, please buy my book. It's on Amazon, and also you can find it on my website, where you can find a colour PDF version for £20. Now, if you have any questions, please put them at the back, at the end of the class, and I will do my best to answer them. But I'm going to try and talk about all these examples now fairly quickly. So we say sometimes, I'm not out of the woods yet. And if we say, I'm not out of the woods yet, it means I am not clear of danger. I haven't escaped from the danger. There's still a risk around me somewhere. And the idea is that when you're in the woods, it's a dangerous place. Now, I suppose it's when you're in the woods at night that it might be a dangerous place, and it's only if there are dangerous animals or dangerous people inside, but nonetheless we use this idiomatically. And so if somebody says the company's been having a very difficult period of the year, but it's improving, our sales are improving, nevertheless we're not out of the woods yet, it means that the company is not safe yet, perhaps not safe from bankruptcy or something like that. There's still danger, there's still risk. Or it might be a patient in a hospital who's recovering, and if you say he's not out of the woods yet, it means his recovery is not certain. He may get worse. Okay, if you decide to take a back seat, that means that you decide to relinquish control of something, to let go of something and stop being in charge of something, stop being in control of something. So this is a driving expression, of course. And if you take the back seat, you let somebody else start driving. So this idiom, usually it means that you let somebody else take over, you let somebody else take control, and you take a back seat. So maybe you're the manager of a company, but you decide to take a back seat for the next project and allow your subordinates to take charge, to take over. So you allow them to take responsibility, and you decide to take a back seat. Yeah, and it means let them take control. And as teachers, we often let the young pupils take control. And when you do that as a teacher, you take a back seat. Maybe you let one of the pupils take the class. It's a very common, well, a very good method of teaching, allowing the pupils to teach the class, because if they can teach the class, then they must know the topic. Now, if you say my heart sank, this is an easy one. It's an easy one because it just means I was disappointed. My heart sank. And your heart sinks when you feel disappointment. So my heart sank, you say, when you're really disappointed. Nice, simple, clear, easy one. Another easy one, if you say that something is more than likely, you mean it's very likely. If you say that something, if you say you are more than happy about something, that means you are really happy about something. And if you say you are more than ready to take the CAE, that means that you are really ready to take this paper and you ought to take it right now. Okay, so more than ready to take an exam, something like that. If something is a sore point, that means that it's a difficult topic for you to talk about, a painful topic for you to talk about. So maybe there's something, I don't know, perhaps could be anything that's a sore point or a sore subject. Maybe you don't like talking about your childhood, and then you'll say, my childhood is a sore subject, I'd rather not talk about it. Or maybe you don't like talking about exams, and maybe you got really bad exam results at school, and you say, I'd rather not talk about exams, it's a sore subject for me. Okay, so anything that you don't like talking about is a sore point or a sore subject. If you put your foot in it, this always makes me think of a man putting his foot in something that a dog has left on the street. I don't know why, but that's the image that I get in my head. But if you put your foot in it, it literally means that you have said something that's upset somebody and you shouldn't have said it. So if I was going to think of a phrasal verb, which is quite close to this one, I'd say that blurt something out, sorry about my bad writing, blurt something out is very similar to this idiom, because if you blurt something out, you say something without thinking about it, and very often it hurts somebody, or you shouldn't have said it. Well, the same with put your foot in it. You say, oh, I've put my foot in it, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe someone in the room hasn't heard that one of your mates is pregnant, and they shouldn't know about it, but you blurt it out, you say it, you put your foot in it and tell everybody that this friend is pregnant, okay? And you shouldn't have said it because it's her secret. So when you reveal a secret to everybody, you put your foot in it, or whenever you say something that you shouldn't have said, you put your foot in it. Okay, blurt something out is very similar. Now, if you are hard pressed or hard pushed or hard put to do something, that means you find it really difficult to do something. So I am usually hard pressed, I don't know, to name all the states of the USA. I'd be hard pressed to name all the states of the USA because I don't know all the states of the USA. And so that would be something very difficult for me to do. I think I'd be able to come up with maybe 30, but 52, probably not. Or 50, I don't know how many states are there, I'm not sure. Okay, if you take something personally or take something to heart, it means you get too emotional about it. It means that you're too sensitive about something and you get upset about something that you should be more objective about, that you should be more neutral about, that you shouldn't get so emotional about. So try not to take things too personally. For example, if your teacher corrects you at school, you shouldn't take it personally. You shouldn't take it to heart. You shouldn't get upset, because we all make mistakes. And if you listen to your teacher very carefully, you will hear that he or she also makes mistakes. Okay, if you don't do a stroke of work, you're very lazy. This is just an expression that we use for really lazy people. If you say he doesn't do a stroke of work, it means he doesn't do any work at all. Okay, but we also use a stroke of with luck. If you say, what a stroke of luck, it means, wow, how lucky I am. This is a really lucky thing. So a stroke of luck is an incredible piece of good fortune, an incredible piece of luck. Okay, simple as that. If we say it serves you right, it means you got exactly what you deserved. So maybe you did something nasty to someone else, and then something terrible happened to you, like karma, right? So you got what you deserved. It serves you right. You can say to the person, that serves you right because you weren't very nice to me, and so that serves you right. What happened to you was right. You got what you deserved. And another way of putting this is get your just desserts. We often say he got his just desserts. Now, this is a really odd expression for several reasons. And the first reason is, I actually misspelt this when I put this on the board for today's lesson. So there's a good mistake that you can look at that I would have made if I hadn't checked the dictionary first, which is why I do advise everybody to use dictionaries, because quite often when you use a dictionary, you suddenly realise that you've been getting something wrong for a number of years. And so I've always spelt that with two S's, get your just desserts. And the reason I've spelt it with two S's is perfectly logical. It's because we have two words that are very well known in English, and one of them is desert with one S, and it's pronounced desert, meaning a place of sand and no water, the Sahara Desert, the Gobi Desert, the Kalahari Desert, or whatever. And then we have another word meaning that ice cream that you eat at the end of the meal, if you like desserts. I don't. And this one's pronounced dessert. Desert, dessert. And because I know that we pronounce this, get your just desserts, I thought, right, it needs two S's, right? That's logical, right? No, wrong. Unfortunately, language always seems to be illogical right when you're thinking logically. And get your just desserts is pronounced, get your just desserts, it's pronounced like this word, but it's spelt like this word. And it's the only time when you'll see dessert spelt with one S in that phrase, get your just desserts, meaning get exactly what you deserved. Okay? So two things to remember here. Get your just desserts means get what you deserved, get what you rightly deserved, get what you justly deserved, but it's spelt like desert, but pronounced like dessert. Now, the reasons for this are complex, and it goes back to the 12th century when dessert was a noun spelt with one S, and it referred to what you deserved. So it actually goes back to how the language functioned hundreds of years ago. But so it's a remnant that still exists in the language, something old and archaic that still exists in the language. But I think this is a good way of showing you how even when, you know, I have a lot of experience with grammar and with things like this, and that's why I made a mistake here. It was my knowledge of grammar that was holding me back, really, and it's why I made the spelling mistake. And so quite often you do get, I think, a lot of teachers who make mistakes because of something called hypercorrection. They're correcting all the time, and they're thinking logically, and so they think, yeah, get your just desserts, that's going to have two S's, but it doesn't. And so this is something that we'll see with language. It very often happens. So-called grammarians or experts are wrong, and very often it's their experience that gives them the wrong answer, or it's their logic or their understanding that gives them the wrong answer. So do be prepared to learn incorrect things from so-called experts. Okay, the last one on this board, I'm not sure, can you see it? It says get out of bed on the wrong side. Tell me if you can't see that, please tell me. But to get out of bed on the wrong side simply means to wake up in a bad mood and have that bad mood for the rest of the day, or even better, be in that bad mood for the rest of the day. So I hope that none of you have got out of the wrong bed. Got out of bed on the wrong side this morning, because that would mean you're in a bad mood. Okay, if you strike while the iron is hot, excellent, I'm glad that it is visible, you can see it. If you strike while the iron is hot, that means that you strike at precisely the right moment. I think this is some kind of Latin idiom, so it might be quite similar in your language too. And if you strike while the iron is hot, you strike at precisely the right moment. You act at precisely the right moment. If you have a chip on your shoulder, then you have some kind of, I mean, this is a really negative idiom. If you say that he has a chip on his shoulder about, could be anything, about his age, about his talent, about his ability, then it means you feel very upset and angry about something. When you have a chip on your shoulder, you're upset and you're angry about one particular thing. It's a grudge that you bear, and you can't let go of this grudge. So it's when you're bearing a grudge, when you're bearing ill feeling towards something, you have a chip on your shoulder. Okay, if you land on your feet, that means that you're lucky or successful in some kind of way. So you might say after university, he got a job straight away in London in a big bank. He really landed on his feet. It's a job which really suits him, and he's getting a lot of money. So he really landed on his feet when he got that job. So it does mean, I mean, really it's a parachuting expression where you land on your feet, yeah? And so you land successfully, okay? Let's come on to the next one, the last straw. I think a lot of students understand this as the last drop in some languages anyway. The language which I'm familiar with, they certainly say the last drop. And the last straw is the last thing after a series of events that finally makes you lose your temper or lose control of yourself. So that will be the last straw. And I think this is actually from the Bible, where we talk about the straw that broke the camel's back, where a camel's holding lots and lots of weight, and then you put one more straw on top and it breaks the camel's back. So that's why we say the last straw. I think it's from the Bible, I'm not 100% sure. But it's that last thing that suddenly makes you lose your temper. The straw that broke the camel's back, exactly. This one's fairly easy. You may rest assured that, you can rest assured that, it means you can be sure that. How easy is that? Yeah, you can be sure that. But strictly speaking, it means you can relax and be certain that. You can rest assured that. Yeah, you can be sure that. Okay, keeping up with the Joneses is a phenomena where people try to compete with the next person. You use it when somebody's being competitive with the next person. Because strictly speaking, this is referring to your neighbours. And we often call your neighbours the Joneses, just because Jones is a really typical surname in England. And so it's the kind of name you'd use like Smith. Yes, Smith is a really typical surname, and so is Jones. And so if you're keeping up with the Joneses, you're looking over your garden fence and you see that they've bought a new car, and so you buy a new car. And then you see that they've built a little extension on the side of their house, and so you build an extension on the side of your house, so that your house looks just as good as their house. So it's used for when people are competitive and when they're trying to keep up with, meaning be at the same social status or have the same car or have the same house as your neighbour. And so it's quite negative, I'd say. It's not something that's often used in a positive way. Now, if you wait for the dust to settle, this is an idiom which you use after a conflict has taken place and is perhaps still going on. There's still fighting going on. And if you wait for the dust to settle, it means wait for things to calm down. Wait for everybody to relax, because when people have calmed down, they will be less emotional. And when people are less emotional, thanks Marsha, when people are less emotional, then they're less aggressive and there's less of a fight going on. And so if you're waiting for the dust to settle, it means that there's something crazy or chaotic or violent that's been going on, and you're waiting for it to calm down, and then you're going to act, because it's more sensible to act when everybody has calmed down and when they're less emotional and they're more rational. Okay, to be on the right track means that somebody is heading in absolutely the right direction. And we use this metaphorically. I use this metaphorically all the time with my students. If they say something which is almost the correct answer, it's going in the right direction, but it's not quite right, I'll always say, you're on the right track. You're almost there, you're on the right track. You're thinking about things in the right way. You're heading in the right direction. But I often use it, I must admit, when somebody is almost correct, but there's something not quite right. So you're on the right track, you're heading in the right direction, but you just need to go a little bit further to get where you want to be. Okay? If somebody is on the ropes, they're in a very difficult situation. Both this one and this one, hello to Brazil, both this one and this one, to be on the ropes, to be in a tight corner or spot. Hello to China. You ought to think of this one as a boxing expression, and the book which I'm taking these phrases from certainly draws boxers for both of these expressions. Because when a boxer is on the ropes are the part around the boxing ring, and if a boxer's on the ropes, usually they're trying to stay on their feet and they're using the ropes to stay up. So they're in a terrible position, they're in a really bad position, and it looks like they're soon going to get knocked out, soon going to lose the fight. So if you are on the ropes, you're in a difficult position, and if you're in a tight corner or in a tight spot, you're in a difficult position as well. You're trapped in the corner and you won't necessarily be able to fight your way out. So to be on the ropes means to be in a difficult position, perhaps just about to fail, and to be in a tight corner or spot means just to be in a difficult position, maybe not about to fail, but you're in a difficult position. I'd say that that one sounds much worse, or sounds worse than that one. That sounds like challenging, but that sounds like difficult and more than likely will fail, okay? To play your cards close to your chest means to be very secretive about some kind of advantage that you have. And so you play your cards close to your chest. You don't show anyone your cards. This is a card playing expression. You don't show anyone your cards, and you don't give them even the slightest chance of cheating and seeing your cards. So you keep those advantages very close to your chest. You don't let anyone know about those advantages that you have. So it's when people are secretive and discreet, and they don't tell everybody about certain advantages that they have. Lastly, to have something up your sleeve. Now these are your sleeves here. I don't have long sleeves today, but card players who cheat may have long sleeves, and it's because they can put that ace, which they need. Ace is the best card in a deck of cards. It's the one meaning one, but it's very often the best card, and they could keep an ace in their sleeve, and they put it down there in their sleeve. And so to have an ace, or to have something up your sleeve, means to have some kind of secret advantage or secret plan that you're going to bring out, possibly in the worst situation. Okay, if you've got an ace up your sleeve, you've got some kind of real major advantage that you're keeping quiet about and you're not telling anybody about. Okay, and very often you'll bring it out, you'll bring this advantage out in the worst possible moment, or when you really have to, then you'll reveal your ace. Okay, so I hope that's all clear. Now's the time to ask questions if you have any questions. But if you don't have any questions, then we'll stop this class. I'll be doing I'll carry on through this book. This is mainly chapters 1 and half of chapter 2. But I'm going to carry on doing this book. We'll revise a lot of the phrasal verbs that we've done. Please buy my book if you want a book on phrasal verbs. Or, yeah, please ask the question if you've got a question. If you're happy with electronic books, you can go up to my website, skype-lessons.com, and you can buy the PDF in colour for £20. But the colour book will cost you £35. Black and white book, physical book, will cost £20. Okay? If you've got any questions, now's the time, guys, because I'm going to go on. The next class is going to be something else. Do you recommend buying the intermediate version of these books as well? It depends. If you've already got the upper intermediate and advanced phrasal verb books, I probably don't know, because you're probably going to know 95% of them, of the intermediate ones. But I guarantee that a lot of the ones in here are not in the upper intermediate or the advanced. Many are, but a lot of them aren't. And unfortunately, it hasn't got every phrasal verb in the English language, because we always create new ones and old ones disappear over time. So I will get some new phrasal verbs that are not in that book, and I'm sure there might be one or two in this book as well. Okay, if there are no other questions, I'm going to do a different lesson in about 10-20 minutes. It's going to be on a completely different topic, and it's not going to be an English lesson. So if you're only here for English lessons, I totally understand. Wait for another day when I will make another English lesson. Okay, but I will carry on. I'll be doing advanced idioms and phrasal verbs. We'll do loads more vocabulary, advanced vocabulary, and perhaps we'll get some time to do some grammar as well. Okay, thanks everybody for watching, and if you're interested in the Russian class that I'll do in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, please come back for that. But that really is a lesson for me, and I appreciate that a lot of people aren't here to hear that. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.